On the subject of statistics about Lower New York, the New York Department of Economic Development gives us a sense of the scope as well. 292,000 people live below 14th Street in New York City, and that is, so you have a better appreciation of it, equivalent to the population of Savannah, Georgia. And just to repeat that counseling hotline, which I hope I have right, which the Secretary of Health and Human Services mentioned, a counseling hotline is 1-800-331-7767, a counseling hotline set up by the Department of Health and Human Services, to which, by the sounds of it, anybody can call and seek answers. 1-800-331-7767. In Lower Manhattan, Bob Jameson. And Bob, we see from this vantage point another large cloud of smoke. It's not the same cloud of smoke, and there have been a couple of very random reports about at least.
From ABC 7 News, this is a special report. Continuing coverage, America Under Attack.
Hello, I'm Del Walters in the ABC 7 News studios. We are going to briefly interrupt ABC's continuing coverage of America Under Attack to take you out live right now to the Pentagon, where a news conference is scheduled to get underway within the next minute concerning the latest on research efforts there, efforts to recover the bodies. Let's listen in.
The first person that will talk at this time, I'd like to introduce firefighter, emergency medical technician Dereck Spector, who was also one of the first arriving company officers. Derek?
Thank you, Chief. I was assigned the acting officer on Truck 105. We were in the station at the time of the plane crash. My Tillerman, Ron Kreisman, and my driver, who's not here, Brian Roach. We heard the impact, and as we were leaving the station, we heard Captain McCoy on engine 101, who said it was possibly around the 14th Street Bridge. We started out that way, and as we got a little bit further past the station, we realized it was the Pentagon. We came around through South Parking, and then when we did, we could see the fire that was extending over the building. Got around on Washington Boulevard, and we called for a third alarm assignment, and my crew and myself, we entered the Pentagon through Corridor 5 and attempted to make as many rescues as we could. We didn't run into, we saw a lot of people evacuating, but we couldn't find anybody when we got inside.
How much fire was in there?
When we went down the first ring, we didn't find much. All we did was find debris. The roof had collapsed in the E ring. Then we went down to the D ring, and we found quite a bit of fire there, and we found some in the C ring.
Where did you first start to encounter people?
Immediately when we got off the rig, I had 3 or 4 people come up to me. A couple of them were severely burned. We pointed them in the direction of the medic units, and we entered the structure.
What did it sound like in your mind as you arrived at the scene? First thing that went through your mind.
There's nothing that can go through your mind. I was speechless. I've been on this job for 12 years and had never seen anything like that.
Having heard what happened to firefighters in New York, how difficult was it to continue working here during the day?
We'd gotten back to the station just prior to the plane crash, and we were watching on TV the things that happened in New York, and kind of admiring the fact that they were involved in something like that. And then we got this call, and after that, we didn't find out till later on this evening the tragedy that happened in New York.
Derek, we know you guys are trained to do 2 things, put out fires and save lives. How frustrating was it for you as an individual to have this fire to continue to burn?
I think it wasn't so much the frustration of it continuing to burn. The frustration that we had was the fact that we had to keep evacuating the structure because we had more reports of more planes and possible somebody trying to continue to do more damage to the Pentagon, and that kept withdrawing us from the scene, and that was probably the most frustrating thing about the whole thing.
Derek, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much, Derek.
All right, finally, I'm going to introduce Lieutenant Robert Medairos. He was our first incident commander at the scene.
Good evening. My name's Lieutenant Robert Medairos, M-E-D-A-I-R-O-S, Lieutenant with the Arlington County Police Department here in Arlington, Virginia. During this incident, I was at the station talking to the security from the USA Today building. They had some concerns reference what happened in New York. Also, I was gathering some intelligence from our intel people to see what kind of intelligence that we had reference to this area. We had any more threats. At that time, I heard Officer Faust give out the broadcast that he saw a plane that just crashed. At that time, we immediately left the station and responded down here to the Pentagon. We arrived within minutes after the crash over here at the South parking lot. At that time, I was the watch commander for the day in charge of the county. I set up our incident command and began a staging area for us, basically, and we took command of the traffic for outside of the Pentagon, and we immediately shut everything down with the officers that we had to control the flow of traffic coming in and going out. Then we had the second threat within 10 minutes of the crash that a second plane was coming in. Then we had to move the command post and also try to evacuate everybody who was coming out of the Pentagon and also who began to gather on the outskirts. And my first thought was I couldn't believe what happened. And they said it was a plane, and I didn't see any pieces of any plane, and I couldn't believe that a plane hit the building. We then set up our incident command, tried to assist with the evacuation of the building, and also set up a perimeter to control the traffic coming in and out of the area. And then command was taken over by Captain Hackney and then Deputy Chief Hall for the police department, and we've been here since then.
Can you tell me how many times there was a concern of other planes coming over? You mentioned it a couple times. Did it happen twice?
Yeah, they were concerned. There was reports that there was at least 3 more planes that weren't accounted for. And then we had report that a plane was coming down the Potomac, and it was within 10 minutes. And we immediately tried to evacuate through our PA systems, especially with the people that were gathering to get them out of the area for their safety.
Have you since learned what the basis of that was?
I couldn't hear you, excuse me.
Have you since learned why they caught the plane coming down the Potomac?
No, we just got a report over the radio that there was another plane coming, and that there were also 3 others that were outstanding and unaccounted for during this incident.
All right. Okay.